Someday I will suck it up and buy myself a new laptop, and this laptop will become I'm just looking at notes on Google Chrome because that's all it can handle.
The corporate overlords can know about Mitski. It's okay.
The corporate overlords can know about Mitski.
They should know about Mitski.
Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music and our favorite artists' discographies. I'm Matt Kistler.
And I'm Troy Sennett.
And today we're continuing our series on Mitski with her fifth album, Be the Cowboy. This album came out on August 17th, 2018, once again on Dead Oceans, much like Puberty 2 before it. It was once again produced by Patrick Hyland, and mostly performed by Mitski and Patrick Hyland, minus some horns and a little bit of extra bass on Nobody, but we will get to that. But we have a guest with us today. Happy to introduce our friend Emily Csuy, fellow Chicagoan, former, I almost said Minneapolisian, and I don't think that's the term. Welcome to the podcast, Emily.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about my girl Mitski.
Heck yeah. I'm very excited to talk about your girl Mitski with you. Emily is a friend of mine with immaculate taste in music, introduced me to probably the best ambient album of last year, which feels weird that slipped under my radar. So yeah, very excited to chat with you about this album. I guess, to start off, Emily, you had mentioned kind of before this that this is, I assume, your favorite Mitski album, if not one of your favorite albums. What's your history with this record look like, and maybe Mitski in general?
Yeah, so I first knew about Mitski around the Puberty 2 era, but I wasn't like a huge fan until Be the Cowboy dropped and the singles were coming out. Just a huge fan of hers in general. I've seen her live 7 times.
Whoa,
and,
dang.
3 of those times were on the Be the Cowboy tour. So yeah, I have a good history of being a fan of hers. I feel like she did such a nice job during the Be the Cowboy tour of exemplifying that archetypal cowboy that she kind of talks about in interviews, where she was the star of the stage, and she had all this choreography and she had knee pads on to do the choreography, and was moving around with just a chair, a table, and a mic stand. So that was awesome to see so many times. I saw her once at First Ave in Minneapolis, and I was a graphic design intern there at the time, so I actually got to make the marquee sign, which I have on the wall next to me as we're recording this.
Oh my God, please send me a picture of that. I will need to use that, and also I need to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of what was so exciting about that show was not just the show itself, but was that I got to see some of the sound check. So I was I was at the peak of my Mitski fandom then, and just was freaking out that I was there during sound check and could see some of that. That was amazing to me. But yeah, saw her with friends there at First Ave, saw her in Madison at a venue that was new at the time, the Sylvie.
Oh yeah, I've heard about the Sylvie, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's really tall ceilings. And Jason was the opener, so it was that was a special night as well. And then it was Mitski kind of announced she was going to go on an indefinite hiatus, where it wasn't clear what that meant or how long of a hiatus it was going to be, or what that meant for her touring and everything. But she said that these shows that were going to be in Central Park in New York City were going to be her last shows before this indefinite hiatus. So me and some friends made the trip over to New York, and caught her. Lucy Dacus opened at that show.
God, so many good openers on these shows.
So many great openers on this tour. But yeah, that was one of the last shows before she took this big break where we weren't sure how long she was going to be gone. And luckily she wasn't gone for too long, but Yeah, those were the 3 shows I got to see on the tour. So it was
Does
quite
one of them stand out as like the best one?
I mean, I think I took the most video clips at the one that was like the hiatus show in Central Park, and it was like such a nice day, and it was beautiful New York City day. Sun was shining, weather was warm, it was great. But the show in First Ave, because I was like the graphic design intern there, and because I saw the sound check and was like, preemptively like just getting amped for the show because of the sound check, I think, and like seeing my marquee signs on the walls outside the venue, I was like, that's got to be the highlight. And since it was the first show I saw on the tour, but yeah, I think the first time I saw her ever was the same show you saw, Kistler, where it was in like at the Blue Stage at Pitchfork.
Yep.
Yeah, and I feel like that was maybe around Puberty 2 times.
Yeah, that was directly in between Puberty 2 and Be the Cowboy. I don't think Be the Cowboy had been announced yet, but it was not far off.
Yeah, Pitchfork 2017, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would have been my first time seeing her, but the most amount of times I've seen her on one single tour was on this album. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'd have to say the First Ave show was the most special of the 3.
So this is like an album that is like you have just a high regard for generally. Did you say it's your favorite Mitski album?
This one and Puberty 2 now has become a favorite. But Be the Cowboy might be my favorite. It's a favorite album in general, just like of all my all-time favorites.
Yeah. As far as like, I don't know, can you go into a little more about like what does it mean to you? What is it like? Are there any particular things about it, or like how and why it resonates with you?
Yeah, I think it's, well, other than like it had the fun cowboy era to it, like I feel like a lot of people were copying Mitski too around this time. At least one example I can think of in that regard is Mac DeMarco with Here Comes the Cowboy, around the same like months after this album dropped. But yeah, no, I just really love the lyrics. I love her vocal deliveries in all the songs. I think this album is one that you can like sing along to and is like super fun to just like blast and sing along with her. Now I can't quite hit the same notes that she can hit, obviously, but
most people can't.
Yeah.
Right. Most people can't. Yeah. But I think lyrically too, it just kind of hits in that these are all like kind of short stories, and they're all, a lot of them are seemingly about romantic relationships or connections. And there's so many different vignettes throughout the whole album that it paints all these different pictures. So I think it's just really interesting from like an album standpoint of just like, she kind of made, a movie with this one where it's like you're seeing all these different scenes and all these different people throughout the album. The songs are really short, as are all of her songs, like across her discography, but she like is a master at crafting a whole story within like 2 minutes. And I think she does that beautifully on this album.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like nothing overstays its welcome here. It is very vignette-y, like you said, but each song kind of adds another layer to this. Yeah, this idea of like, she talks about this is like a that it's an album about, what did she say? Trying not to have any, or not having any feelings and being completely spent, and then trying to rally myself to wake up and get back to like being myself. And that combined with this sort of individualistic cowboy iconography and how that relates to these relationships, it really is it builds this really kind of deeply affecting look at like, romance from her perspective.
It's very interesting. It's funny to me that every time she is asked about like the cowboy she's envisioning for this album, it's the Marlboro Man, which is a reference that I think is now lost to time, probably, since we haven't had cigarette ads in 3 decades now.
I mean, I've watched enough Mad Men to know about the cigarette ads.
Fair. But yeah, like, and on top of that, like this album, the way that she talks in interviews like makes this kind of apparent, and it feels like it comes up in a few of the songs, especially like Geyser, the opener, that touring really like kind of affected the way that she was like, one, writing this album, and two, like thinking about her life in general, which like obviously that's going to happen when it's literally your job to tour and do press for your albums and stuff like that. But I do feel like that like kind of really seeps its way in on this album, because this is another record that is recorded in like fits and starts at various studios across the country, not terribly unlike Bury Me at Makeout Creek, and in contrast to Puberty 2, which was all recorded at I think it was Acme Studios. And I like, again, like, not surprising that the team of Mitski and Patrick comes out with this very, very cohesive sounding thing out of those circumstances. But I just think it's interesting that like we kind of ended up back in this place for this album. And that we've got like this kind of like large range of like times at which songs were written. Like Pink in the Night like has a phone demo from like 2014. She talks about how she's been writing Geyser since college. Which is,
some of these songs got played live, like in the Makeout Creek era.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's wild that like all of that comes together into this like honestly huge album, despite, like Emily mentioned, how like short these songs are. Like the interviewer in the title interview mentions like, yeah, when you like sit down and look at the lyrics, there's like like from a quantity standpoint, not a lot there, but like when you're in the song, you feel like you're being taken to another place in this, like, because Mitski's incredible at telling a story in very, very few words. It's the Texas Reznikov thing again.
Yeah. And even like with a guitar part or with a synthesizer, like to use those elements like as effectively as possible in such a short time. It rules.
Yeah.
I have one other thing to say that is a quote of hers that I thought was really resonated with me about like the album as a whole. And she said, "I think it's a very feminine album. There can be something incredibly violent about being a woman and having desires as a woman. Not so nice, not so soft. And I think that's an interesting experience to draw on. And when I say feminine album, those words make it sound soft, but I mean feminine in the real way." And I don't know, that really resonated with me. And I think, kissing comes up so much across the whole album. It's almost like a theme or a character in the album. And kissing is, I would say, a feminine kind of thing. I don't know, it's a sapphic thing as well. So there's that, but not saying I know what Mitski's identity is at all. But I resonated with the fact that she described this Be the Cowboy record as like very feminine.
Yeah, I picked up on the kissing thing too, and it feels like, I mean, sometimes it feels like it stands in for as a sort of a metaphor for love or sex or whatever it is, but a lot of times it feels very literal, and it just feels like that is the symbol of intimacy, or of like the idea of intimacy, or the memory of it, or whatever it is, and like that, and for whatever reason, that is the moment in all these relationships that it keeps coming up again and again, and I really like that as sort of a thing that ties together the stories on this album.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat embarrassed to admit this, but I did not like this record when it came out. I was a big fan of Puberty 2, and just this one did not click with me. I had it on vinyl at one point, I swear, and I went and looked for it today, and I must have sold my copy at some point, because I was just like, I just don't care for this record. Going back to it this week, this is my favorite Mitski record now. I think this thing is, pretty close to a masterpiece, is like kind of unbelievable in its scope for, like we were talking about, being a fairly short record with a lot of short songs, but it really, it hits some very like impressive heights and depths of emotion. And I mean, I think Two Slow Dancers is a just absolute knockout of a song. I can't believe that I did not realize that back in 2018. So this was fun to reevaluate this album and really fall in love with it.
Yeah. I mean, to the point of like, all the things that she does on this album that she like kind of hasn't before. She kind of mentions in one of the interviews this conscious effort to avoid her fallbacks. She talks about like how when I want to convey a really intense emotion in the instrumental, I kind of turn to the distorted guitar, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that differently. And like, I think she and Patrick nail it on this one, like every single time.
Agreed. Should we get into the songs?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So starts off with Geyser. This was the first song released, the first single. This is one of those ones that was played live, like as far back as 2014. And yeah, Matt, you mentioned she'd been writing this since college. That starts off with this sort of singular organ note with some like really glitchy elements, but pretty quickly grows into this huge fleshed out arrangement. It's very like heavy on the guitars and orchestral elements, and is just a pretty like majestic introduction to this record. What do you guys think of it as an opener?
Oh, I think it slaps. This was my most listened to song of 2018. I like looked back at the stats. And so it was the first single, I believe, as well. It must have come out before anything else. But yeah, I love that this song, which you think is about a person, you think it's like a romantic song for someone else, is actually a song about like her love of music and her career as a musician. And I think that's amazing. It's like a love letter to music.
Yeah, I love that too. It took me a minute to pick up on it, and then I realized like the second time I listened to it, I was like, oh yeah, this is absolutely, this is, I mean, in a similar way as she's written about her career in previous records, or her like creativity as like or as a muse, or itself as a muse, I guess is kind of a way to think of it. But yeah, I love that aspect of the song too.
Yeah, and like specifically like talks about how like no, obviously this isn't about the industry at all. Like and I mean it kind of is, because there's that tension between doing the thing that you love and all the bullshit that comes with it. But yeah, this is an absolute knockout. I absolutely love that weird little glitch that happens. Which in one of the interviews she mentions that Patrick responded to somebody from the label saying, "Hey, is this glitch intentional?" with "You are experiencing the art," which I absolutely love.
That's so good. And it's like, it's not like it happens a lot. It's really just like one or two times. But I feel like it throws you off and makes you like lean in a little bit.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, that it catches your attention whether you like it or not.
The music video for the song is also very cool. It's this kind of like long shot of Mitski just dancing on the beach and then very intensely digging in the sand at the end. It matches the song really well, I think.
Yeah, hard agree.
It's
that's a really good one.
Such sweeping emotions, like as it builds and builds towards the crescendo at the end. It's like, I just love how she can build on a song and make this thing that makes you feel so deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's what she's best at.
100%.
And keeps finding ways to get even better at it. After that is Why Didn't You Stop Me, which is like a complete turn stylistically. It starts off with this drum machine and this crazy mix of like guitar and synth styles. Feels like a little Pixies or a little Cure, a lot of like 80s influence on this one. And then there's like some very loud horns at the end, which sound awesome. Again, it's like, this album just takes you, like, every song feels like a new turn, and this one is, like, especially coming as track 2, it works so well.
Yeah, definitely. My touch point for the specifically the synths on this album is, like, this sounds like a Robin song a little bit, which I am very here for.
Yeah, but it also, like, this sort of, like, twisted danciness. Like,
oh, yeah.
I mean, Nobody is a very disco-influenced song, too, but, like, I don't think of these... I hear what you mean about like the synth sounding like Robin, but I don't think of these songs as dance songs. I think of them as like kind of twisted pop songs, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean the song is about how when you are the person who ends a relationship, you have this weird desire to be chased after, which I think is the thing that has happened to a lot of people. I don't think this is unrelatable. But yeah, what a wild thing to write such an upbeat sounding song about, which,
oh yeah,
like not unfamiliar territory for us, obviously, but
sad, but make it dancey.
Yeah, exactly. Crying on the dance floor like you do.
Yeah. Yeah, and then from there you get to Old Friend. This one kind of starts off a little acoustic guitar based, but the 80s keyboard sounds are very strong here too, and is kind of a song about like reconnecting with an old love and that kind of the nostalgia, and also like the trying to do it kind of in secret, like it's a little taboo or you don't want your current partner to know about it. I find this such a, again, it's another like very affecting, emotional little short story.
Yeah, I like this one, especially because like the setting for the like meeting is the Blue Diner, which she mentions that she's like, yeah, I don't really have as much of an affinity for diners as somebody like David Lynch does, but but I understand that people do, and I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Some people do, like me.
I do too, and I think of this as the diner song. Like it
Oh yeah,
conjures up the imagery of Twin Peaks, like original series for me.
oh for sure, yeah. Yeah, I like the when we get to that second verse, Troy, you kind of mentioned like the taboo of it. It just, the line specifically is, "I haven't told anyone, just like we promised. Have you?" Which like implies that there's this feeling of one-sidedness here, or like distrust is probably not off base to say, given that is presumably seemingly a former lover. Like, it's even if it's not wrong, it probably feels a little bit wrong,
Yeah, well, and it's the wanting to be reassured that the other person feels the same way as you do, and even though you think that it probably is not the case.
Right.
But I love the next line is my favorite line in the song, that every time I drive through the city where you're from, I squeeze a little.
Oh yeah, that one's so good because it's so like I remember in one of the interviews somebody like asked about that line specifically, and I was immediately like, it's literal. Come on, you squeeze the, like when you're feeling like tense in the car, you squeeze the steering wheel, and Mitski's response was, yeah, it's like when you clutch the steering wheel, like when you're stressed or whatever. I'm like, thank you for vindicating me.
I just love the imagery. I think it conjures up so many images in such a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the song that kind of most plays into the same Americana idea as the cowboy image. I mean, it's a different area of Americana, I guess, but the diner, the David Lynch diner idea is, it feels like one of those quintessentially American things that, like, obviously she talks about in interviews, like, as a, not having the sort of traditional American upbringing, it feels a little bit like she is kind of reclaiming some of these ideas from, I mean, thinking about what was going on politically in 2016 to 2018.
Sure.
Reclaiming them from a much more insidious type of individualism that had like taken over culture. But then after that is A Pearl. This one is, I feel like, kind of about the juxtaposition of these beautiful memories with pain and how you kind of can't stop going back to those memories, even though, despite or because of the way that they hurt you. And is, I don't know, I feel like this is one of those albums, like every song I'm like, yeah, this one's great.
Total banger, 100% back to front. Yeah, I really love this analogy of the pearl as this like the One Ring type object that you hold in your hand, even though it is toxic and actively hurting you. But like you can't help it because it is comfortable for you. Like it's just like the sum total of your unhappiness that you maybe want a little bit, just like manifested into this little beautiful but really awful object.
Yeah, and just the line, "You're growing tired of me and all the things I don't talk about." Like, damn. Like,
yeah,
that says a lot in one sentence about a relationship.
It's really, really striking. Like, I mean, it's starting off the song with just, "You're growing tired of me." You're immediately like put in a place of, oh no. And it continues from there.
Yeah, and I feel like the line that really hits me in this one is, "I fell in love with a war and nobody told me it ended." Just the like being so focused on it that you even lose track of how, maybe the other person has changed or how people have moved on around you. And it's just this like, I think of the idea of like waking up and like, oh, the fuck, like what happened?
Yeah. Yeah, and like that specific metaphor of I fell in love with a war, like you know, you realize that these times, these events are bad, but like that's where the spark of everything came from, and you are still enamored with it. Or like even in the more like literal sense, like, you know, people who are, you know, largely spending their time in like violent situations are going to like, that's going to equate to, you know, things that maybe it shouldn't be equated to later on in life. You know, specifically people who get shipped off to war, like it becomes a part of your being, and that is sometimes not bad, but usually is a little bit kind of terrible, really terrible. I'm kind of taking stabs here.
Yeah. No, were you thinking at all about Pearl Diver from Lush? Well, like with the song too, and the way that she's used that image before of a pearl as sort of an ideal or an unachievable or unreachable thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. This just like, this feels like it stands. It feels like this song stands both in contrast with and like directly aside that song, because like the Pearl Diver never reaches what it is they're searching for in Pearl Diver, and maybe they would have found exactly this, and things would have not gotten better.
Right? Yeah,
and like that's a horrifying thought.
Yeah. After that is Lonesome Love, a kind of relaxed acoustic guitar-driven song, but with this sort of an idea about trying to prove to someone that you're over them and doing better, and then utterly failing at it, which is kind of like a both wistful and kind of darkly funny and also really sad idea at the same time.
Yeah, it's how can you be lonesome for lonesome love? Or sorry, why am I lonely for lonesome love? I should have scrolled down a little bit farther. But yeah, like again, like a line that really like strikes you with a whole feeling without actually having to say much, which is incredible. The pair of lines, nobody butters me up like you and nobody fucks me like me, is also like obviously a standout here.
Oh yeah, and the G-rated version of that, which a bunny rabbit said to me in Animal Crossing recently, was "Nobody cares for me like me," and I was like, "Mitski, are you here in the game?" I just love that this song too introduces like kind of alt country vibes to the album. Like we're calling it "Be the Cowboy," and we want a little bit of that vibe, right, throughout the record. So relaxed acoustic guitar, but a little bit alt country, I would say, on here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like I would love even more country Mitski. I think that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I would be super down for that, honestly.
I feel like I'm always like responding to the sort of, you know, lighter instrumentation, or what's the song on the first record, Strawberry something or other, Strawberry Blonde, that it sounds like no other Mitski song ever, right. But it's like, oh, this one really pops for me.
Yeah, from Retired from Sad New Career in Business. Yeah.
Oh yeah. After that is Remember My Name, which starts off with this insane crazy saw like synth sound, and is just built around I feel like the way that these really abrasive sounds mesh with like a big, almost like arena rock song. I was just like, the whole time thinking like, this just needs to be played louder and louder. I'm like, like easing up the volume every verse.
Yeah. The sound that I was reminded of it, and I'm assuming it's a synth too, but my initial instinct was, this is the DoD grunge pedal with the like gain turned all the way up somehow. Like, I mean, not somehow, that's just how everybody did it back when we were using those pedals.
Yeah.
An awful thing that a lot of people that I knew loved back in the day, myself included.
Like a gnarly bass tone too in this song.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like it sort of ties back to Geyser in the way that it is about this kind of need to make something great. They're like, I want to be great or nothing from Little Women.
Yeah.
And what can like immortalize you, or if it's even possible.
Yeah, the whole I need something bigger than the sky, hold it in my arms and know it's mine. Just how many stars will I need to hang around me to finally call it heaven? Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things like a pearl where it's like it is unachievable, and I think like the character, the persona in the song, like they probably recognize that, but also don't want to really deal with it.
Yeah, definitely not.
Because what you ultimately want is like someone to care about you.
Yeah. I tied this song back to in my initial rant about this album on this podcast. This something that got brought up in the interviews a lot was just this this whole like Mitski kind of becoming a symbol on which people project themselves and their feelings and their wants and desires. And like having complex feelings about that, because she's like, I know that this is like what happens to a person who's in my position, but like I also just kind of want to play music, and I don't want to be that person, but I also kind of want to be that person. And it's complicated and hard, and like that feels like it very much manifests itself in this song. Like specifically the like in that first verse, can you come to where I'm staying and make some extra love so that I can save for tomorrow's show? Like specifically calling out like I'm gonna need this because shit's gonna get wild.
Yeah, or just like very heavy with. I mean, I can just I hear artists talk about all the time, like how weird it is. People like, I got this tattoo of your lyrics, like this, your song saved my life or whatever, and how like to live with the weight of that is, I can't imagine.
Neither can I. And Mitski gets a lot of that, from what I understand.
Yeah. Next up is Me and My Husband, a very like Beatles-esque song, I feel like, with the way the piano and rhythm section work together. This feels like is kind of the centerpiece, or at least to me, like a big highlight of the album. It really encompasses a lot of the themes of this idea of like projecting happiness and while being very unhappy and surrounded by people who are happy, and you have this supposedly perfect life. It's very easy to draw a parallel between this like suburban wife in the lyrics with the idea of like being a touring musician who from the outside looks like you've got the fame and or some level of fame, and you're able to do music as a full-time job, and how that must be so perfect, and even though you're still hiding a lot of unhappiness.
Yeah,
I love Mitski's big sigh in the intro of the song, like, because it's just, I mean, it's called Me and My Husband, and like at first glance too, you might think it's just like an anthem for a married couple, right? But like it's so much deeper than that, and like you were talking about, the layers you can peel back between like what it is really about and what she's getting at. But like she just has this big sigh at the very start of the song to kind of indicate there's more to the story here than just me and my husband.
Yeah.
I mean, a sigh, like just, and it can reveal so much, and I think that like having that in there makes so much sense with because it's a song about a person who is basically bottling up a lot of things.
Yeah, and just like using this relationship as like their anchor point to like, well, this is what my life is now, so this is fine. Even though it is clear it is deeply not fine at all.
Yeah, and it is, of course, like another sort of breakdown of the American iconography, the white picket fence, suburban married couple, that she's kind of taking apart in the same way as like the cowboy idea or the diner idea or some of this other stuff that we've talked about already.
Yeah. I feel like it got brought up multiple times that this is definitely a song that like has or will be played at someone's wedding unironically. And that's just horrifying to me.
For sure.
That's a very funny idea.
Yeah. It's like playing No Children at your wedding. Except the people who play No Children at their wedding get why that's funny.
Yeah. After that is Come Into the Water, a very short, almost interlude, sort of sung through piece, kind of shimmery guitars and organ. A song that is kind of takes the water idea literally, and it's in its arrangement, and that it's kind of just about trying something that is out of your depth, whether that's creatively or in a relationship.
Yeah, I like how this song is mixed because everything is, well, kind of like fully reverbed out. It almost feels like you're in the water, which like almost would be overly clever if it wasn't executed so well. Like it's not overbearing by any means. I just think it's like a nice little touch.
In my notes for this song, I just wrote, "Get your ass in the hot tub." Just to sum it up.
Yeah, just get your ass in the hot tub. I think that's great.
Taking it even more literally than I think I did. After that is Nobody, which was this was the second single off this record. But this is the one that really got pushed, I think, with to streaming or to, I don't know, playlisting. I guess we don't really push it to radio now. But it has a really, I think, unbelievable music video. And just this is the one that is the most it's such a defeated, sad song about desperate loneliness, and also over the most dancey disco groove that Mitski has ever worked with. I think this is just an awesome song.
It's a perfect pop song. It's just perfectly executed. It's so well done. The way she sings Nobody in a different way each time she sings the word repeatedly is amazing. Like, she does that so well. And in an interview, I pulled this quote out. They were like asking her, was Nobody always written as a disco song? Was that something you wanted to do? And she said, yeah, it was. I just wanted to write a 4 on the floor dance track because I like dancing. And there's something about being so hopelessly lonely that you're like, all I can really do is dance. There's nothing else I can do. I can't talk this away. I can't fix these problems. I'm just going to go out and dance. Like, hell yeah, Mitski.
Yeah,
Janelle Monáe would approve.
They definitely would. 100%. I love that. I love that she like outwardly is like, I'm really proud of this song because I got away with having a 1-word chorus, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I am, generally pretty critical of a chorus that's just like one line, or in this case, one word repeated over and over again. But yeah, Emily, like you were saying, the way that she sings each, like, hits different, like, emphasizes different syllables, or just the melody is so good that it's like it almost doesn't matter what she's singing over it, what the lyrics are. I don't know, it's an impressive song.
It is, and like beyond that, I want to point out a couple of lines, namely the Venus planet of love was destroyed by global warming. Did its people want too much too? Did its people want too much? Which so I love that, like, in interviews she's like, yeah, I read that somewhere that happened. I don't have it on me right now. And I'm like, I should look this up, but I didn't. So we're just gonna take it as fact. And go with that's a really beautiful and sad sentiment. But the other one is the really devastating one. The I've been big and small and big and small and big and small again, and still nobody wants me. Still nobody wants me. Like, Mitski leads into repetition a lot on this album, and obviously specifically on this song to an extreme in the chorus. But I really think that like that sentiment of changing yourself for someone else or many someone's else is something that she's touched on before in other songs, and I think it's really hammered home here, that like specific feeling of I am trying to be the person you need me to be at my own expense, and it's not working, and that is awful for me. Yeah.
And then to have been in that cycle over and over again in different relationships, and how that builds up and creates the place you get to when, in a song like this.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking about the music video and how, like, it also kind of reflects this dancey song with incredibly sad lyrics, where it has these like incredibly bright colors, and then has this motif of like faces being erased, and therefore like identity being erased and becoming a nobody throughout the video. This is like one of the best music videos I've seen in a long time, I think.
It's genuinely incredible.
And of course it ends with her walking off the set, like that one old the video from, I don't remember which song it was on on the second record, but a trick she's used before, and it was also, I think, really effective here. After that is Pink in the Night. The first of, I think of both these next two songs both as kind of like two different takes on an interlude in a way. But this one is a very atmospheric ballad about the idea of like, what if someone literally was so in love that they were glowing? And I think sort of therefore like the idea of wanting to reach that place to be like perfect for someone, or to just like keep working at being the best you can for someone. It's one of those like, I don't know, cheery is the right word, but happier Mitski songs.
And kissing comes up in this song, definitely.
That it does.
She's talking about, I know I've kissed you before, but I didn't do it right. Can I try again, try again, try again? And she repeats that over and over to great effect. But yeah, I like the idea that this is the metaphor of someone glowing pink because they're so infatuated with someone. Like they're so crazy about someone.
Yeah. This is really like honestly kind of stunning. And it's really like, yeah, the repetition comes up in that can I try again part. There's the I love yous in the first chorus, and then like the kind of second quote unquote verse that's literally just I could stare at your back all day twice. But like what I really love is did both of you get the chance to listen to the demo of this song?
Yeah.
I did not. I'm gonna have to after the recording.
Oh, it's really cool. Like it's literally like a phone demo. So it's Mitski and acoustic guitar. But like yeah, the whole intro is just like kind of her just like leaning on a note, and like I love seeing how that got translated into these like kind of ethereal paths that start off the song. And like there's like the tape spin up that leads into that, which I always think is cool. But what I found interesting, and I can't quite place like why this change was made, but I think I like it a lot, is that in the demo, I could stare at your back all day is actually I could stare at your hands all day. There's a big operative difference between those two things, but I can't quite articulate what it is.
It's like very sapphic is the thing. Yeah. If you're staring at hands, I don't know, that's sapphic culture, but
that checks out.
But staring at someone's back more so implies you're staring at a man, I think. At least in my mind it does in like the recorded version of the song.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
Yeah, I took it as like trying to, using back instead of hands as like a higher level of intimacy, I guess. But the man versus woman idea is interesting too. I really don't know.
Yeah, I'm not saying I know what her identity is. I think she's very, very private about all of that, but in her relationship she keeps under wraps.
Yeah, valid. Good for her.
She definitely has sapphic fans, and I am one of them.
And also, like, I mean, regardless of her own identity, like, I think many of these songs are, I think, fictional, or at least like, here's a part of a piece of me is in this song, but is, this is also a fictional elements of it, and, experimenting with narrative storytelling and stuff like that.
That was kind of a big thing around like the press around this album, was kind of talking about how the fiction is in fact just kind of a wrapper for feelings that Mitski has had.
Well, and she always pushes back on the sort of like your lyrics are like a diary, just like, spilled out right into the vocal booth, because she's like, no, these songs are very composed. Like I spend a lot of time on lyrics, and it's not just, off the cuff. And so I think leaning into the idea of there's a fictional element to some of these is sort of twofold. Like, yes, it lets her distance, her songs from herself a little bit, and also lets you just do more interesting creative stuff.
Yeah. That does remind me of one more thing I wanted to touch on about the Nobody video, which was the comically large diary that she pulls out from under the bed and then proceeds to open smaller and smaller diaries within it. That was good shit, and definitely warranted mention if y'all haven't seen the video yet.
Yeah.
I have another quote from her from an interview where she was talking about the whole this is like your diary kind of style of writing, where she gets criticism in that regard. And she was saying, she was thinking she was going for a narrative perspective, was fueled by the whole diary criticism. And she's like, I went to music school.
Right.
Like, come on, you guys. Like, I can write a song that's not just about like me directly in my diary entry. Like, it's a narrative. It's a story. It's a short story or like a scene from a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like this is a thing that I guess, I don't know if it's a generational thing or whatever it is, but like, I feel like our parents' generation there was just so many more like artists where you just accepted that they're writing fiction basically. And the sort of like confessional straight from my diary style of singer-songwriter feels like much more of like a 90s and like 2000s thing. And like eventually you run out of stuff to write about yourself, and all the best songwriters are writing, narrative fiction, whatever it is, especially like in country, and it's always been that way in country. And I feel like when an artist tries to make that transition, there is a bit of almost like an adjustment period or like a shock factor thing. It's like, oh, this song is not about this. I invested so much in the sort of public artistic persona of this person, and now they're writing stuff that isn't about themselves. And I feel like there's, yeah, like I said, kind of a that can be surprising.
Yeah.
But then on to A Horse Named Cold Air, which is another one of these very short, very like airy and minimalist piano and vocal piece about kind of reflecting on the past and questioning if you can ever actually really grow, is kind of how I take this song.
You got to have a song about a horse on Be the Cowboy, right? I mean, there's got to be at least one. I know she said too in the title interview that she thought she had heard about a horse named Cold Air somewhere, and she was like, wow, that's so beautiful for a name for a horse. But then she Googled it and she couldn't find anything, so then she's like, maybe I did dream it.
Right.
I'm actually surprised. I feel like there's been so many racehorses over the years that I would be shocked if there's never been one named Cold Air, but that's very funny that she like tried to find one and couldn't.
It's truly, it's always shocking to find out about a racehorse with like a very good name that hasn't been taken yet. Like in the however many years they've been doing this, like you can't name your horse the same thing as a horse that has already raced deal.
Is that a thing in horse racing, like the Screen Actors Guild, where you have to like come up with a crazier name if it's already taken?
I believe that is the case. Yes, I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's where all the wild names come from.
Okay. There are a few things in the world I know less about than horse racing. So.
I regret to inform you that I have attended several horse races and I don't feel great about it in retrospect.
It mentions the whole competitive, like humans putting animals in competitive modes, like that being such a problem and something she thinks about. And like Puberty 2 has the song I Bet on Losing Dogs.
Right.
So we're kind of continuing a little bit of a theme between the two albums, I guess, in that regard.
Yeah. She had mentioned just like in one of the interviews, just like that there's something weirdly human about forcing animals to do labor for you or to compete for your entertainment. And like, obviously that is one horrible and also somehow quintessentially human, which sadly, yeah, kind of, in a very, very cynical way, obviously, but.
So do you think that I thought I traveled a long way, but I had circled the same old sin is sort of referencing that idea of like, this is a way that we, despite thinking societally, have changed. We haven't actually grown at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of drawing like going from that wider scope of like, here's a horrible fucked up thing that humans do, and then like looking inward and going, oh well, I do a lot of fucked up shit that I shouldn't do, and I keep doing it over and over again. It feels to me like we're revisiting this idea that was presented on A Pearl earlier on.
Yeah. I read that line as much more like from the perspective of the horse in a way.
Also
like
valid.
Literally like running around a racetrack and feeling like you've run a long distance, but you're really just in the same place.
Right, yeah.
Which I guess it works on multiple levels.
Yeah, like good writing does sometimes.
Yeah. After that is Washing Machine Heart. Another one that kind of like Why Didn't You Stop Me, built on this like pulsing and pounding beat with guitars that feel much more reminiscent of like a post-punk or something like that. But this song just kind of doesn't let up, and it's just like I don't know, the song just rocks.
Yeah.
It's a bop for sure. It's also like one of her most popular songs. It blew up on TikTok a couple years ago, and I was looking at it has over 1 billion streams, so it's like only second to My Love, Mine, All Mine,
Right.
which is wild. So it like blew up many years after this album came out.
That's crazy.
Which is nuts. But yeah, it's a certified bop, and I think this might be my favorite song on the album. But it's also one where I like was in that sound check watching her play the song, and I was just like freaking out as such a big fan.
Right. I mean, obviously, why wouldn't you?
Right. But I think the way like what you were describing, Troy, with the sounds and the synth line sounds at the beginning, it's like the thunking of the dirty shoes in her washing machine heart being tossed around. Like that's the way the music sounds, and then she sings it out in the lyrics, so it all comes together in such a beautiful way.
Oh, for sure. And we get the kissing image again in the song, and then like paired with the idea of toss your dirty shoes in my washing machine heart. This like it feels like a kind of like a deepening of connection again, using kissing as like the start of that.
Yeah, and this kind of the juxtaposition of like the starting lines of toss your dirty shoes in my washing machine heart with like I thought maybe we would kiss tonight. Like there's this just implicit disappointment in like, oh, I thought we were gonna have a reciprocal relationship tonight, and instead I am doing emotional labor for you.
Yeah.
This is a very feminine album, after all.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to.
She also sings "Baby, Will You Kiss Me Already" and toss your dirty shoes in the washing machine heart. Just like freaking kiss me already, man! Like
give me literally anything, my guy.
Yeah, like come on, dude, or woman, or whomever.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is about a dude, just given the nature of the lyrics.
The dirtiness of the shoes.
The dirtiness of the shoes, the kind of one-way emotional labor thing. It's got dude written all over it.
That's funny.
I to the point of like the kind of sonic representation of the washing machine and the shoes therein. I really love that like that is like further iterated upon from that happened on Happy, with the like kind of weird sampled bass sound that became like a train. I really love when Mitski does that. And I think it's deployed incredibly effectively here on an even catchier song.
It's good stuff.
Agreed.
After that is Blue Light. This one is like very much a production showcase, I think. Song starts off as like a jangly kind of tune that then just hits this chorus and breaks down into this swelling, like flying off into space thing. I don't really know how else to describe it, but it's a unique song on the record.
Yeah.
More kissing involved in this song. Somebody kiss me, I'm going crazy. I feel like that could be a line that's like almost a theme of the album, like just that line. The intro here, but for the longest time I thought this song, like I interpreted it as like the blue light from your phone screen, like you're waiting for someone special to text you and like light up your phone screen. But then in interviews I was reading, Mitski talks about how it's as if you're in a dark house and you're going between rooms and there's like a TV on that's glowing in a room. So you're just seeing like the screen light from that as you're moving between the space. But I don't know. I still think of it as like a phone screen lighting up. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think that authorial intent is bullshit, and so does Mitski. So I'm here for your interpretation. It is funny how because that's like not really a thing with TVs anymore. Like or is it that's changed? Because like the like static channel is just blue on like more modern TVs. I don't know. I have a Roku TV. I'm sorry. I have Roku City when my TV is idling, so it's purple. But I do really like that interpretation, especially because of like we don't get a lot of narrative in this song. We get Somebody Kiss Me, I'm Going Crazy, I'm Walking Around the House Naked, Silver in the Night, and then beyond that, it's do's. Out There I'm a Sharp Knife, the Are You the Blue Light, and that's it. That's all you get. So like I honestly think that like putting your own spin on it and like, you know, taking it the way that like you want to interpret it is incredibly valid here.
So I think I take this song a little bit differently. I love the phone screen idea or the TV idea. I think both are like feel like they work really well visually. I feel like I was thinking about the I'm walking around the house naked lyric and how like this entire album is in many ways about projecting different versions of yourself and trying to be something for someone else. But there's like a short verse here at the beginning where she is all alone and she is just naked. You're finally with your true self and there's nothing else to project to be for anyone else. You're just there. And then I feel like as the song starts to expand or float away or whatever it is, the blue light is almost like an otherworldly experience or like an out of body experience that you're seeing yourself as you for the first time. And I guess I just take the song a little more, I don't know, surreally than literally, but I like both interpretations.
No, I really like that. Yeah.
Either way, a really interesting way to kind of wind the album down, I guess, into Two Slow Dancers.
Yeah.
Which is the closing track. I can't listen to the song without getting chills or like getting tears in my eyes. The song is just a song about dancing with someone, possibly someone that you had a relationship with a long time ago and are reconnecting with at like a homecoming or a retirement party or whatever it is, and just wanting to like hang in a moment forever is the most like, I don't know, it's such a, this is probably my favorite Mitski song after Your Best American Girl. It portrays this emotion so viscerally and perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the line where she repeats the bridge part where she's like, to think that we could stay the same. Just like that part over and over is really cool to think about as far as like the story of a reunion of like these two people that are coming back together at a high school reunion or something that were like sweethearts. Like to think that we could stay the same and just like, but we're not, we're older now. Things have changed. We're not young like we were in high school. And this relationship has fundamentally like changed.
But at the same time, maybe hasn't. I think.
Yeah. And that like it's this lamenting the idea that like if we had met at a different time with more experience that it would have gone differently or whatever it is. And like I've had that with people and like and it is there is like a certain kind of melancholy and also like I don't know, you're happy that you know your life has been okay and their life has been okay, but like I don't know, it all kind of like washes away when you're back with that person, even for like a second.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I've had similar experiences, like like even in like a non-romantic way of like seeing people that I haven't seen in a long time. Like you you don't become an old version of yourself, but you are immediately reminded of an old version of yourself, and you maybe realize the ways in which you're not so different from that person and the ways in which you are.
It's such a cinematic image to end this album on too. This like you can I feel like you can just see the spotlight on these two people as everyone else is gone.
I think it ends a very romantic album on such a romantic high note with this like too good to be true type of reunion.
Yeah, this song makes me feel sad, but also feel very good in a way that a lot of the other songs on this record do not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking at the lyrics and just like, and nobody can hit as hard with so few words as Mitski can.
I know.
And the smell of the school gymnasium, like they're all the same. Every school gym is exactly the same somehow, even in different buildings across the world. She gets like the visceral point of that so quickly.
Yeah, like everybody who has ever attended a school knows that smell.
Yep. And especially attended a school dance in that exact same gym.
Yep, 100%. Because there's extra sweat in there because you got even more people than usual.
It's good stuff. I don't know. Like I said, it's just like a perfect ending to this album. An album that has just grown so much from my initial somehow kind of disappointed reaction to now feeling like I need to go out and rebuy that vinyl because I don't know why I ever got rid of it. But I just noticed as I was looking up stuff for the show notes that this album was certified platinum like this week.
What?
And yeah, so it's well, I guess not 1 million sales, but 1 million album equivalent sales or however that stuff is calculated these days. But it is by far her most popular record. I assume a large part of that is, Emily, like you mentioned, Washing Machine Heart being like a TikTok phenomenon. But Nobody and Me and My Husband are both like platinum or gold singles as well. And I mean, this feels to me like the defining era of Mitski for most fans these days. Does that seem right?
That's how I feel, but that's also because my own personal fandom and like the amount of shows I was able to see for her tour were like at their peak then. I think of this as like, this is definitely a masterpiece in her discography.
How do you feel about the subsequent 3 albums?
I think Laurel Hell is all right. I think it takes some of the same sonic worlds maybe as Be the Cowboy, but is like a little bit softer, more muted. And The Land, I feel like is basically a country style Mitski album. At least in my mind it is. I haven't listened to that one nearly as much as like some of our other friends. I think Allison is going to be the one to talk about that one, but with you guys.
Yeah.
But I saw her on that tour, which was really cool because like she did reworked versions of like this era, Be the Cowboy and Puberty 2 and such, in the new Land style. So that was really interesting. But it's one I have like listened to maybe the least in her discography. And that's on me. Like as a fan, I should go back. I should give that more spins. But her most recent album, I also haven't spent a lot of time with. I think it kind of takes some elements from like early in her career, especially like some of the more like distorted guitar era of Mitski. And it kind of calls back to some of that, but it doesn't like hit me emotionally as hard as like Puberty 2 or Be the Cowboy do, or her earliest albums.
That one leans even harder into the fiction than this one does. Like it is. I from what I understand from conception, like trying to be a lot more of a like I'm telling a story about a character through the course of this album. Whereas, like we already said, this one was more of a series of vignettes about other characters.
Yeah, I think I can't find the exact interview where I was reading this, but I'm pretty sure on Be the Cowboy, she was like composing most of the songs on piano first instead of on guitar. And like, she was like, I do have this quote, I found it. She said, when I'm composing on guitar, I tend to think about the chord progressions, but when I'm writing on the piano, I can think more about counterpoint and individual notes and melodies. And I think that's the main difference, is what she had said about it. But I feel like I read in having that quote in my notes, I think she was saying she composed more of these songs from the start on piano, whereas you have Bury Me at Makeout Creek, another nod to kissing, and I'm wearing my Makeout Creek sweatshirt right now, but Mitski loves kissing, so it's great. I think that album and Puberty 2 are like her most, guitar driven records, and she like went a different route in composing these songs, these like short story songs for Be the Cowboy.
Yeah, it hadn't occurred to me because I saw that same quote, but it didn't even occur to me that like it is much, I don't want to say easier, but there's an easier through line when writing for like piano to like fleshing out those arrangements, because of the exact thing that Missy's like describing, is like you get the harmonies, you get the melodies, you get counterpoint, and like you can just translate what you can do with your 10 fingers to 10 different instruments way more easily than you can with like a guitar that you're just kind of strumming. So like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense as to how this album kind of ended up the way it did.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the Cop Car, the song that comes out sort of a couple years after this record for a movie soundtrack. But that's another one that I think was originated in the Makeout Creek era. It was at least played live back then. But I feel like exactly what you're talking about is what separates this album from a song like that or from the Makeout Creek era, is because the Cop Car has this very dense arrangement, and it's a very guitar heavy song, and it feels like it is missing some of that compositional or arrangement stuff that just makes the songs on Be the Cowboy really pop.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that song gets really, really, I would say, cacophonous at certain points.
Yeah,
I love that it was featured in a movie, and it ends with, I've preemptively blocked all the exits, so I will burn this theater or burn this movie theater. Hey, maybe not the thing you want to hear in the movie theater.
That's funny. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, anything else before we get to random recommendations?
No, I think I kind of had a similar like trajectory as you, Troy, with this album, in that like I liked it when it came out, but I didn't love it nearly as much as Puberty 2, and like on revisit I'm like, oh no, this is a stone-faced masterpiece. Like what the hell? Come on, man.
Yeah.
I love that you both came around on it, because yeah, it's so important to me, and it meant so much to me when it came out, and it still means a lot to me now. And it's cool that you can like go back through some artist discographies and be like, oh wow, this is hitting for me now, but it wasn't then. But like now, it can mean a lot to you.
I'm not sure if I should be concerned with how often this happens to me with this podcast, honestly.
Well, but I mean, that's to me, like that's the joy of the format of the podcast that we have, is that like I can look at these records that I might have dismissed at the time, with whether it's years of experience or a new context, or hearing more of this band's records or whatever it is. Like I can hear it with new ears, and also like sometimes when there's 6 new albums I want to listen to in a given week, and I just kind of forget about some of them, and this like it forces us to really consider each record as its own thing, which I like so much more than doing like the Bandsplain thing, where it's just like they try to cover an entire artist's career in one episode or 2 episodes or whatever, and like that just doesn't work for me. I like having to sit down with a record 2 to 5 to 10 times or whatever it is to like really consider it and feel like I can develop a thesis about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that you guys are doing this podcast. I like started doing discography listens in like at the end of 2024, and I started with the Beatles. I'm a huge Beatles fan, but like I've been going since, I don't know, fall of 2024 through now, where I like just pick an artist I really like or one I want to get more familiar with and go through their records in order. And it's like such a great way to like sink into an artist's work, I think.
Absolutely. What's been the most like interesting one or the most like revealing one about an artist for you?
That's a really good question. I would have to look at my list of them because there's been quite a few I've done since 24. But the one I'm currently doing right now that's really fun and I would recommend is Outkast.
Oh man,
their discography is super cool, and it's been great going through their albums in order.
They are on our long list of artists to cover at some point, and also on my long list of bands I need to dig into deeply.
Yeah, I am embarrassingly under listened on their like early stuff. I'm like a Stankonia and Speakerbox the Love Below person, and I know I need to go backwards a little bit more than that.
Yeah, it's been helping me understand their work better by just going in order, because I hadn't heard their first album until I did this listen through, and like it's so good. Then you go into like before Stankonia, there's I think it's Aquemini. It's really great. Like I had listened to it maybe once or twice in previous years, and like listening to it in the context of their discography has been like eye-opening, I guess, because it's about how good they are.
Yeah, they're truly untouchable in a lot of ways.
Yeah. All right, let's do some random recommendations. Matt, what you got this week?
So I mentioned this before the pod to y'all, but I've only listened to one thing like closely besides Be the Cowboy this week, and it has been the 9 Inch Noise record that got put out by Trent Reznor and Boys Noise, and obviously the other folks in 9 Inch Nails. This was a project born out of past collaborations and also the like semi-recent Peel It Back tour, where Boys Noise opened for 9 Inch Nails. And then in like the middle of the set, they had a B stage where they did a collaborative set of a handful of songs. And most recently, the collective performed at Coachella both weekends. I believe like, what was it? Day one of weekend 2 was when this record came out, like I guess last Friday as we're recording this. I don't know, it's 9 Inch Nails songs, but even cooler than they already were is like kind of the only way I can describe it. I really like Boys Noise to begin with, and I really like 9 Inch Nails to begin with, and I feel like they work together so well to like kind of bring these songs to another level. Like literally every time I was driving the car this last weekend, and it was sunny out, I put the windows down and blasted this record. And it's like got this kind of weird, like hybrid live / studio album thing going on where there's like crowd noise between songs and like some like featured vocals from the Coachella set like mixed in. It's absolutely nuts. I could do without some of the live stuff, but like on the whole, I'm glad to have these songs out there, and I can't stop listening to it. So like, I can't help but recommend it. 9 Inch Noise by 9 Inch Noise might be the only thing we ever get from them, but I hope not.
Co-signed. Album rocks. It's so good.
Yeah, good shit. What do you got?
I am going to recommend the new I Am the Avalanche record, The Horror Show. This is the 5th I Am the Avalanche record. And it feels like a pretty good mix of everything that band does well. There's some punk stuff. There's some hardcore leaning stuff. There is some just kind of straight up like the best pop punk that has ever been made, which is kind of what I think of Avalanche United, their second album. I saw them live the day before the album came out, and they played a bunch of new stuff, and it all sounds awesome. Just a really consistent, exciting band that I've loved for a long time, and it's cool to see them still doing their thing.
Oh yeah, I also co-signed this one because the album does in fact rock.
Emily, do you have a random recommendation for us?
I do have a random recommendation for you. I was listening to this a lot lately, and I think Mitski fans, or at least some Mitski fans, would appreciate it. I think if you're a fan of Wednesday or Rat Boys, you would definitely like this album, but it's Remember Sports, The Refrigerator is the name of the album, and it came out February 13th, 2026. So it's a newer release. And yeah, it's definitely indie rock, but kind of alt country vibes and really great lyrics and just like an all around nice, easy breezy. I think it's like 37 minutes or something. So it's an easy listen and a fun one on a sunny day.
This album to me sounds like Waxahachie and the Format covering or like starting a pop punk band. This is straight up my alley as far as my tastes go. I really love that album.
It is really, really good. I haven't listened to it a bunch since February, but when it hit, it was really, really great to listen to.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, Emily, thank you so much for coming on to talk to us today about Be the Cowboy and about Mitski. This has been super fun.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. I love talking about this album with you guys. Thank you for having me on. And I wanted to end with a phrase by Mitski in an interview that she was talking about how she went with the phrase "Be the Cowboy." And she said, "The phrase "Be the Cowboy you want to see in the world" has been an inside joke between me and myself. So yeah, just be the cowboy you want to see in the world, everybody.
Yeah.
And thanks for having
do
me
it.
on.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. We will be back next week to talk about Laurel Hell. In the meantime, you can find us on the internet at noisefloorpodcast.com and follow us on Instagram at noisefloorpod and send us email at noisefloorpodcast@gmail.com, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.